Do you want to install Google Analytics 4 on your website? Are you looking for a way to track the behavior of your website's visitors so you can make better decisions on how you can improve your website? Well, then this is the video for you. This video will give you three things. First of all, I'm going to show you how you can install Google Analytics 4 on your website the easiest and quickest way without slowing down your site. Secondly, I will show you some alternative methods and some considerations that you can use to determine what might be the best way for you. And thirdly, I want to go over some pitfalls because there are some common things that go wrong when installing Google Analytics 4 on your website. And if you're stuck, that might be the section for you. Maybe you'll find your problem over there. All right, let's go. Welcome to the channel. My name is Leon. This channel exists to help you make better decisions in your daily work using your analytics data. I believe analytics is for everyone, not just for the web analytics experts. It's for the product owners, for the designers, for the developers, for the marketers, for the managers. It's for you. I believe it can help you make better decisions in your daily work. And if you like what I'm doing, please click like and subscribe to the channel. That really helps me get this channel off the ground. Also, if you want to watch more of these kinds of videos on how you can set up Google Analytics 4, install it on your site, configure it, there's a link in the video description to an entire playlist full of videos just like this. Alright, if you want to install Google Analytics 4 on your site, the first thing we need to do is to find our tag. And there are three scenarios, so we're gonna go over each one. The first scenario is if you already have Google Analytics 4 installed on your old site and you're just going to a new site because of some kind of redesign, you want to keep your GA4 property the same. Because if you do that, you're keeping all your data and you can analyze the situation before the redesign and after the redesign. So if that's you, the way you find your tag is by going into GA4 and going into admin. And if you're in admin, and please verify that you're in the right site, you can go into data streams, and under data streams you should find one data stream that's linked to your old site already. And if you open that, you will find the tag instructions on the page down below. So if you open up the tag instructions, you can pick this tab right here, install manually. This is the tag that you need to install Google Analytics 4 on your website. And I'm just going to copy this tag and I'm going to paste it in a notepad. So that's the first scenario. And I'm recommending that you keep your analytics property so you can compare the old situation with the new situation. The second scenario is that you already have some sites that have Google Analytics 4 installed, but you're adding a new site, for instance, new product, a new country site, but you have a new site and that site doesn't have a Google Analytics 4 property yet. Well, what many people do is they just open up a new account, but that's not necessary. If you already have Google Analytics 4 installed on some other site, there's a real easy way of adding your new site to that same account by just using a new property. Well, if that's you, you can just go ahead and log into Google Analytics 4. And again, you just go into admin, you make sure that you're in the right account. As I said, I already have many sites set up inside my account. And if I want to add a new site to this account, I can just really easy create a new property and say test.nl. These are the same steps that I'm going through in scenario 3, so you can just watch those couple of minutes and see me go through all of these steps. But if you already have Google Analytics 4 installed on some other site, you can just add it to an existing account, and that will really help with keeping things organized and not losing any data. Alright, the third scenario is you don't have any Google Analytics 4 account at all and you want to set up a new account. Well, just for you, I have created a new Gmail address that lets me show you what steps you need to take. You can just go ahead and go to analytics.google.com and it will require you to log in if you aren't logged in already. I'm just logging in using an entire fresh Gmail account. If you logged in and there was no analytics account linked to that Google account, you should see something like this. There's a welcome screen and with a button on it that says Start Measuring. We can just press that and it will give us a walkthrough to set up our account. As an account name, I recommend that you use the name of your company. So with me, it's Leon Korteweg saying demo, just to differentiate because I already have an existing account. I'm going to unlink all these boxes because that's required for GDPR, at least in the Netherlands. I'm going to press next. As a property name, I recommend that you use the domain of your site. So I'm installing it on leonkorteweg.nl, and I recommend that you use the domain of your site. I'm cleaning it up a little bit. This will really help in keeping your analytics account organized. If you're analyzing a report, the property name will be right at the top of it. So if the domain is in there, it will be really clear what kind of site you're analyzing. Well, I'm in the time zone of Netherlands, and we're paying in euros. Press next. Industry category, I'm gonna say other. I'm small. Then it will ask you what your business objectives are. There's no wrong option, but for me it's generate leads and examine user behavior. If you're not sure, you can also just pick the last one. That will give you some baseline reports, which is really good. Then I'm gonna press create. I'm gonna accept. And now GA4 is asking me what kind of platform I have. Do I have a website or do I have some kind of mobile app? Well, I'm installing it on my site. So I'm gonna choose that. And as a website URL, I'm gonna say, also, again, just my domain name. The website URL in my case is www. So I'm gonna keep that in there. Enhanced measurement, I recommend that you leave that on. So keep it as it is. And then I'm gonna create the stream. If you've set up your account for the first time and you've made your web stream, the installation instructions will pop up automatically. And just like in the first scenario where we were working from an existing Google Analytics account, we can just go into install manually and there we will find our tag. Again, I'm going into a notepad and just gonna paste it in right here, and I'm gonna close all these windows. Next, and continue to home. So by now we have the tag of our GA4 property saved on a simple notepad. Well, the second step is to add the tag to our site. And there are two ways. You can do it yourself or you can send it to your web developer. Of course, the second option is a little bit more easy. You can just type in an email just like this. Please insert this tag to every page of the site. And the thing you need to ask is, please insert it at the top of every page, just below the head tag. And if you type this in an email, they will know what is needed of them and they will probably charge you maybe an hour for it. It's a really easy change into your site. If you want to do it yourself, this process is a little bit more involved and it also depends on what system you use. I'm using a WordPress site, so I'm going to show you how I do it on a WordPress site. I'm logging in. So the way I like to set this up is I go into plugins and I press add new. And the plugin that I like to use for this is called head, footer and post injections. This is by a plugin developer that's been around very long, has a great reputation, really like his stuff. It doesn't look that fancy, but it's lightweight and it's fast and it works very well. So I'm going to press install now. And I'm going to press activate to activate the plugin. If you've installed the plugin, there should be an option available under settings and then header and footer. Here there's a text field that says head page section injection on every page. That's the one that we need. So I'm going to go into my notepad and I'm going to paste my code right here and I'm going to hit save. And this is how easy it is to install Google Analytics 4 on your site. So there's one more step that I need to do. I'm gonna clean up my cache. I'm gonna talk about cache more in my section about common pitfalls. But I'm gonna say purge all cache. This is kind of a reset that refreshes all pages on my site. And now the code should be on my site. So now that we've included the tag onto our site, the third step is just to check if there's data coming through. And the way we do that is by going into GA4 and going into reports. The easiest way to check if data is coming through is by opening up the real-time report and just visiting your site. So I'm going to visit my site and then I'm going to check if there's any data coming through in the real-time reports. This might take a while, but after a couple of seconds I see one user active on my site in the Netherlands, in Zwolle even. That's where I live. So I know that Google Analytics is installed properly on my site. If this is not working right away, don't panic. just come back after maybe half a day, or maybe even 2 days. Sometimes it takes a while before GA4 starts processing your data properly. Alright, those were the 3 steps. You need to find your tag, you need to put the tag on your site, and then you need to check if the tag is really working and if you're collecting any data. So I just showed you the fastest way on how you can install Google Analytics 4 on your site. But if you want to install it, there are a couple of other options that you could consider while installing Google Analytics 4 on your site. And the first option is installing Google Analytics 4 via a plugin. Maybe you've already noticed it, but if we go into GA4 and I'm going into admin, I'm opening up my data stream again, and I'm going into the tag instructions. I recommended you to go into the tab here on the right that says install manually, but there's also a tab that says install with the website builder or CMS. And then it lets you add it to WordPress or Squarespace or one.com or Shopify or Drupal, one of these platforms. The reason why I recommend it to install manually is because manual installation, in my experience, is usually the one that works all the time. Also, if you're working with a developer on a custom platform, that's the only option that you have. It's very lightweight because putting a tag like this on the site does barely add any load time to your site. If you're installing one of the other plugins, load times might be impacted because those plugins add a lot of functionality, which in my opinion you do not always need. So that's why I prefer the manual installation. In some cases you might want to install with one of these plugins anyway, because these plugins add some other functionality that you might need. For instance, they could add beautiful dashboards right inside WordPress. So if you want to have your data visible in your WordPress admin, you should probably pick one of those options. Also, if you have a web shop and you want to track e-commerce data inside of your GA4 account, the manual option is probably not what you want. Then the easiest option here is to just pick one of these plugins. They, as far as I know, all have e-commerce integration. If you want to go with one of these plugins, you can just click on one of these options and then follow the steps here. Alright, and the last option that you have while installing Google Analytics 4 on your site is using Google Tag Manager to do that. And this is, to be honest, my preferred way, because by using Google Tag Manager I can use more measurements on the site. For instance, I can track link clicks on the site. I'm very flexible with setting up conversions, and I can also distribute the data to other platforms. For instance, if there's a different analytics platform on the site as well, or maybe some advertising platform, Meta ads or Pinterest ads, TikTok ads, whatever, I can distribute the data to those other platforms as well. So it's a lot more flexible. The downside is there's also a lot more skill involved in using Google Tag Manager to install Google Analytics 4 on the site, and that's why I didn't recommend it in this video, because this video is more aimed towards beginners. Alright, let's go over some common pitfalls that you might encounter when setting up your GA4 account. The first common pitfall is that you have set up Google Analytics 4 on your site too often. There should be really no more than one tag on your site. So if you've installed Google Analytics 4 using the first method, just by the manual method, which injects the code into your site, and then also install a plugin, and then also install Google Tag Manager, you will probably have more than one version of GA4 on your site. If that's you, that's a big problem. So what I like to do is just remove everything and just start with a fresh slate, so I know I just include GA4 on my site just once. The second reason why GA4 might not work on your site is because of cache. Well, a lot of sites these days use some kind of mechanism to save a version of the page just to make the page load faster. And usually every day or every hour there's a new version of that page generated, and then the new version, and then people get to see that new version. But if you just installed Google Analytics 4 on your site and there's still an old version of the page active, there will be no data collection because the tag is not yet on the cached page. The solution to this is just refresh the cache of your site. On WordPress there's usually a button at the top. So on my site here there's a button that says cache and then purge all caches. I've seen other plugins that have a menu similar like this, but then in most other systems you should be able to find it somewhere in the settings. The third option, if Google Analytics 4 is not collecting any data, is that it just takes a little time. So I recommend not panicking too quickly. If you've waited a day and waited 2 days maybe, chances are that the data will come through in that time, because processing time in GA4, the free account at least, will take about 24 to 48 hours. So the fourth reason why GA4 might not work on your site is because there's a cookie banner that automatically blocks every script on the site. This is just a configuration issue. A real easy way to check if this is the case is just removing the cookie banner just for a very short time period from your site, and then checking if GA4 actually is loading on your page, and then maybe put it back. If you do that and you see data coming through, you know that the cookie banner needs to be configured so that GA4 is placed on your site. And the last reason why GA4 might not work on your site is because some kind of site error. So this could be potentially a little bit complicated. Talk to your website developer and let them figure out what the issue might be. Alright, that's it for today. I hope this video was clear. I hope it was helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below. Also, if you want to watch more of these kinds of videos on how to set up, configure GA4, there's a link in the video description to an entire playlist full of videos just like this. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.